That's it, everyone. We're finally here. We're finally down to my top 10 games of all time. I'm not saying these are the best 10 games ever made, but these are my 10 favorite games. If you haven't done so already, make sure you hit that like, that subscribe, ring that little notification bell, and leave a comment down below. I hope you guys all have a wonderful day. I want to thank you guys again for just reaching over 500 subscribers for me. I really do appreciate it. Thank you so much, and I'll see you guys later. Smashing its way on the list is HAL Laboratories' 2003 classic GameCube title, Super Smash Bros. Melee. This game, more than any other, has probably had the single biggest impact on my life. This is the game that has led me to making so many fantastic lifelong friends. Hell, it's the reason I have a PlayStation 5. So, thanks Kyle, aka Chef. All of those fun IRL things aside, it's so incredibly well designed. Smash Bros. Melee has a wonderful cast of characters, set of stages, art direction, soundtrack, and the best gameplay. While there has been contention, I want to say that Melee's hidden depth and absurd mechanics has led to some of the most interesting moments in all of esports and created one of gaming's best scenes, and I wouldn't have it any other way. Melee is truly a special game, and I don't think I can rightly distill it down in just 1 minute. So I highly recommend you go watch the documentary The Smash Brothers on YouTube, as well as Metagame if you have the time. Overall, Melee is still one of the best, most fun games, and it'd be stupid if I didn't recommend it. Stealing the number 9 spot on the list is Sucker Punch's 2005 release, Sly 3 Honor Among Thieves. This game builds on the second title of the series by taking the highest format and applying it to how you recruit characters. While this is great and it does lead to a very Ocean's 11 and GTA 5-esque climax at the end of the game, it doesn't have a lot of what makes the second game so special in my opinion. I do love the new characters and a lot of the new missions, but I do wish they were treated a lot more like Bentley, Murray, and Sly instead of just being used for a few missions here and there. But it is just so awesome to see all these characters interact and work towards a common goal, and to just have more options in the variety in missions. Additionally, this game has a lot of the upgrades that make it technically better than its predecessors and sequels, as they always improve in video games. The new gadgets, mission structures, and plot lines are great. This game holds up and it's truly a blast. I definitely love this game and recommend it. Piloting its way onto the 8th spot of the list is Insomniac Games' 2004 release, Ratchet and Clank Up Your Arsenal. It's the third title in the series and one of the best entries for sure. While you can argue that 2 or 3 is better, personally I pick 3. I much prefer the puzzles, the weapons, and the level design. I find that it's all more largely improved as a whole. I love the game's formation of the Q-Force, the new planets, and the idea of leading soldiers in a battle. Sure, these missions exist to make use of the multiplayer maps, but it's such a nice switch of a pace in the formula that we'd seen in the past couple titles. This game also gives Ratchet a new love interest, whose dad is just furry Bill Clinton and is actually the president.
My daughter tells me you're a man who's good with his hands, Ratchet.
Sir, I swear I...
And with its cast of old new characters, it could have served as a great finale, but fortunately, it wasn't a finale. In general, the attention to details and fan service within the game, like the ability to play as Jack or get your weapons from previous game if it's on your memory card, are just simply fantastic. I still strongly recommend this game to anyone. Roll jumping its way onto the list at the 7th spot is Jak and Daxter: The Precursor Legacy. While this game now feels like such a departure from the rest of the series that it came to be, it's still the best 3D collectathon platformer that's ever existed. I'm sorry, Banjo-Kazooie enthusiasts, but this game is what does it for me. The wonderful characters, the bright colors, the entire open world with no loading screens, the power cells, the precursor orbs, and the overall level design are all absolutely fantastic. I love every single thing in this game, from the way Jak walks on wooden planks to the way Daxter spins around, the final boss being a giant robot, the zoomer going through the lava tube. This game is a reflection of just pure childlike joy and wonder of exploring a world in a grand adventure in a way that just feels so natural. And that's why Jak and Daxter is still one of my favorite games of all time, and I really think every single person in the world should play this game. Fighting its way onto the list is Naughty Dog's 2013 release, The Last of Us. While this is probably one of the most critically acclaimed games in the past decade, even though it comes from my favorite studio, I almost had zero intention of buying and or liking this game until I read reviews. I'm a bit of a big baby, and I especially was at the age of 13, and I didn't really like zombies or anything remotely scary. But in spite of that, it's one of the best games I've ever played. I love the found family dynamic of Joel and Ellie and how it plays out. Outside of that, Ellie serves as a literal and figurative sign of hope. She's a young girl who has not known what life was before the apocalypse, and she is still optimistic about her future. In addition, she is immune to the virus, so searching for her gives them hope for a possible antidote in the treatment of others. The game has a fantastic combat system and enemy. You never feel overpowered, and every single kill feels like it's earned and has weight to it. I love every aspect of this game, story, gameplay, design, it's all there. Can't recommend it enough. Still one of the best experiences that I'll truly never forget in gaming. Uncovering the 5th spot on the list is Naughty Dog's 2009 PlayStation 3 classic, Uncharted 2. It is or was what many consider to be the peak of the Uncharted series, and I tend to agree with that notion. This was the first game I played on PlayStation 3 when I got it in Christmas in 2009. The game sold me on what it was finally time to move on from my PS2 as a stubborn child that was entirely needless. Not that I was ever really against it, but if you want to talk about next-gen experience, Uncharted 2 at the time certainly would have been that. This game has immaculate set pieces, wonderfully and colorful environments, fantastic characters, and just overall the most memorable experience I've ever had in gaming. Drake and Sully are perfect, Elena and Chloe are great. I love the game's absurd twist of the treasure they've been searching for and the supernatural and corny things that happen and follow. Whatever you do, I can't recommend this game enough. It is just pure action bliss, and sometimes you just need that. Electrifying its way onto the 4th spot on the list is Sucker Punch's 2011 release, Infamous 2. The second entry follows Cole and Zeke to New Marais, which is ostensibly New Orleans. There, Cole must train to fight the Beast, an impending and looming threat that they encounter at the beginning of the game in Empire City. But by escaping, Cole must train to become strong enough to defeat it. This, of course, isn't the sole reason. New Marais itself is a wreck, and there are quite a few characters for Cole to clean up, and new super-powered allies to make along the way. The game, in both good and bad playthroughs, provides an epic choice-filled story that is always worth your time and worth replaying, thanks to the game's excellent combat system that combines the melee combat via Cole's new weapon, the Amp, and the game's stellar third-person shooting mechanics. This game is entirely worth your time and is an absolute blast. Also, if you play the bad way, it will probably cry. I cried. Climbing its way onto the 3rd spot of the list is Nintendo's 2017 release, The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild. This is it. This is one of the games that people say changed open world games forever. Now, whether or not that has happened, that's really still up for debate, but for me, it definitely embodies the concept of a sandbox game. A game where there's near limitless rules. Want to fight the universe's most powerful being under your underwear? Go for it. Want to shoot a rock across the world? Why not? Want to push a rock onto some mean monster boys? Sure, do that. This game is full of tons of problems, and it does such a good job of letting you solve them in such creative ways. A game where if you want to kill your opponents by chopping down a tree, you can. Is it the easiest or most practical thing? No, not at all, but it's possible, and that's just kind of the beauty of the game. There's no shortage of stuff to find and discover in this world. It's filled with wonderful quests and puzzles. The game is hundreds of hours of fun, and I can't recommend it enough. Just shy of the #1 spot is the epic inclusion of Naughty Dog's PlayStation 2 Jak trilogy, Jak 3. Released in 2004, the game sees Jak exiled from Haven City by some incredibly powerful city council member, Vigor. Left to die in the sands, he is saved by the king of Spargus himself, Damus, thanks to the beacon that Ashlyn just gives him and tells him not to let go of. Essentially, Damus demands that they be productive members of society, but treats them terribly because clearly he doesn't know that these guys are the protagonists of the story at all. Needless to say, this ultimately leads you on an adventure that leads Jak to making new friends, helping old allies, and ultimately you uncover the secrets of the universe and save the world as you know it. The game also adds 8 new weapons, new cars, a new version of familiar environments, and just an entire new environment altogether. I can't recommend this game enough as it's one of my favorites, but you should definitely start with the first game and play through the whole trilogy. It's a truly amazing experience. Finally, sneaking in and stealing the #1 spot on my favorite game of all times list is Slide 2 Band of Thieves. This game really ups the ante in terms of scope from its predecessor. It's basically Ocean's 11 with talking animals. What makes this game stand out is its truly fantastic narrative. Kevin Miller Sly is now older and a bit more assured of himself. Chris Murphy takes Murray from a fat coward into a strong and powerful character, who even refers to himself in the third person as the Murray. Matt Olson is still perfect for Bentley. He even gets a chance in the spotlight of this game with one of the single best character arcs I've ever seen in a video game. All of the bosses and villains are some of the most memorable in the entire series. The game is so intelligently designed with a fantastic formula for mission structure and archetypes that really allow the player to feel how varied the gameplay is, especially with 3 different characters to play as. The game is overall the most satisfying experience, and I will never forget the impact that it has left on me.